welcome to the second episode of our brand new podcast, Character Crashers, where we discuss both popular and obscure media that we enjoy and come up with character concepts surrounding the fandoms. Hi, I'm Taylor.
I'm Colin.
And I'm Morgan, and today's media of choice is the superpowered Hero Society anime known as My Hero Academia.
My Hero Academia is a popular anime and manga series created by Kohei Horikoshi. MHA is set in a world in which 80% of the population possesses unique abilities known as quirks, while the other 20% do not. Our lead protagonist, Izuku Midoriya, also known as Deku, is one of these powerless individuals. Despite his lack of abilities, Midoriya's determination and kind-hearted nature set him on a path of wanting to attend UA High, a prestigious school for aspiring heroes. One day after a fateful encounter with All Might, Japan's #1 hero and Deku's personal idol, Midoriya receives a quirk from him known as One for All. Once in UA, Midoriya trains alongside his classmates, where he faces various criminals and their biggest threat of all, the League of Villains. The series explores themes of courage, friendship, and what it truly means to be a hero, offering thrilling action, heartfelt moments, and an extensive roster of diverse characters, each with their own unique abilities and personal struggles. My Hero Academia is an anime that encompasses endless possibilities and keeps you on the edge of your seat. And with that, let's get into our next segment.
My Hero Academia has a lot of potential when it comes to creating original characters. You can take pretty much any superpower, no matter how bizarre, and make a character that easily fits into the world with almost no trouble. I've made at least 3 My Hero Academia characters on my own, and even made 3 characters collaboratively with Colin over here. There's no limit to character creation with My Hero Academia, and there's always room for improvement. I first created my main My Hero OC, Hiroma Soshi, back in the middle of my high school years. I had barely even watched My Hero Academia at the time, only getting up to episode 10 of season 1 before dropping it. I only just started picking it back up again within this past year. Picking My Hero Academia back up and falling in love with the story inspired me to take Hiroma and completely revamp her, tweaking her design and the logistics of her quirk, while also giving her the chance to be an actual character with a personality and a purpose. Hiroma Soshi is a young hero in her early 20s with a quirk and hero name known as Elemental. Hiroma's quirk allows her the ability to manipulate any element, fire, water, earth, and air, so long as they're within a certain proximity to her. Some minor elements she's also able to manipulate are electricity, plants, and ice as extensions of the main 4 elements. As is to be expected, earth, air, and plants are the most common elements for Hiroma to use, since they tend to be all around us. Any other elements she can manipulate tend to be used in tandem with other characters who have elemental abilities, or with the help of support items, such as the vials of water that are a part of her costume, or the lighter that she starts carrying everywhere later in her story. Hiroma is a graduate of UA High School, having been an official hero for a few years now, and now hired as a UA staff member, specifically a teaching assistant, for none other than Shoto Aizawa's Class 1A. As you can imagine, she was hired to balance out Aizawa's gloomy yet intimidating demeanor to put the students more at ease. At the time of the main cast of My Hero Academia's becoming students of UA's Class 1A, Hiroma would be going into her second year as a TA, meaning she's used to teaching alongside Aizawa by this point, and the 2 heroes have a bit of a comfortable relationship with each other, specifically a coworker friendship / father-daughter relationship. Following the story of My Hero Academia, things only truly start going wrong for Hiroma when the villains attack during the forest training camp arc. I'll try not to go into too much detail to avoid spoilers, but let's just say Hiroma gets thrown into a situation where her personal moral code clashes with the views of society. Hiroma risked her life to save the League of Villains from a falling building and gets ridiculed for it, society now labeling her as the villain hero, as the Hero Commission comes to the decision to revoke Hiroma's hero license for the foreseeable future. Following these events, Hiroma gets recruited to be a part of the League of Villains, and over time becomes an integral member of their found family dynamic, even getting labeled as Big Sis Soshi by the youngest League member, Himiko Toga. As time goes on within the world of My Hero Academia, Hiroma Soshi slowly starts to grow close with and form romantic relationships with 2 members of the League of Villains, Tomura Shigaraki and Dabi. Now, despite how much I've gotten through the My Hero Academia anime, I'm still not done watching it, and to my knowledge, the story is still not done yet. At this point in time, Hiroma is still changing and evolving as a character. She's forming new friendships, and the bonds she has with people are evolving. Her stance on certain issues and how other characters view her may change, but that's the fun of character creation, isn't it? You don't always know where the story of your character is going to go. You may be the person that brought your character into being, but at some point, the character is going to take the wheel of their life, and you're just along for the ride.
I was first introduced to My Hero Academia by my cousin at the end of last summer. After 2 episodes, I wasn't really all that invested in it. About a month later, I decided to give it another shot, and I am so glad I did. I became insanely invested in the story, and eventually I wanted to make a character of my own, to insert into the incredible world of heroes and villains. For my OC, I'd like to introduce you to Shido Kitakami. Shido is a 15-year-old male student from UA Class 1A. His quirk is what's known as Shadow Flare. This quirk manifests as typical fire abilities, but with a twist. The twist is that the flames can only appear from shadows or concentrated areas of low light. The darker a place is, the more powerful the fire. The lighter the area, the weaker it is, or in broad daylight, virtually non-existent. Shido's quirk is most powerful at night, as there is little light to disrupt his abilities. However, similar to Tokoyami's Dark Shadow, his abilities become more powerful, rampant, and unstable. For hero gear, his hero costume is that of a shadow mage, cloak and all, as well as a staff that helps him pinpoint and utilize areas of low light farther away from him, giving him more reach and more control. Moving on to Shido's home life, his family consists of his mother, father, and older sister. His mother is a shadow manipulation hero known as Shadow Mistress, while his father is a fire user daylighted as a blacksmith, forging armor and weapons for heroes. Following an attack by Tomura Shigaraki, his father was collateral damage and suffered extensive nerve damage that prevents him from using the bulk of his quirk. Shido's sister follows her father with the same quirk. She also takes after him in much regard, even pursuing a blacksmith shop of her own one day. In regards to UA, Shido is part of what fans refer to as the Baku Squad, which consists of Katsuki Bakugo, Hinata Sero, Mina Ashido, Ijiro Kirishima, and Denki Kaminari. He is also friendly rivals with Shoto Todoroki since they both manipulate fire, as well as fearsome rivals with Fumikage Tokoyami, as they have many quirk functionalities in common. There are also times in which he finds himself in friendly fire interactions with Hitoshi Shinso as well. Shido is an ambivert individual. He is always looking out for his friends and likes a good thrill. He mingles with other Class 1A members as well, like Midoriya, Uraraka, and Ida, but falls more to the Baku Squad. When it comes to the main story, he may not always be in the front lines of the action with the story's protagonist, but be assured, he does find himself in the thick of it with the rest of Class 1A. As I continue to watch the series, I will work to further develop my character and how he interacts with the world of My Hero Academia.
Now's the time for the open mic portion of our podcast where we voice our unfiltered thoughts and ideas for a collaboration OC for My Hero Academia.
Okay. So I think the way we decided to start this was we wrote down a whole bunch, like a whole list of quirks, each on our end, because you can't really come up with a character idea for My Hero Academia without knowing what their quirk is. So who wants to list their quirks first?
Oh, I don't really have many quirks. I have one quirk.
I can start with mine, I guess.
Yeah, you probably have the longest list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I capped myself at 10. I had more. A couple of these are just like funny ideas, not really serious, but most of these are. Okay. First quirk I have written down is Onirokinesis, which basically in summary is dream manipulation.
Okay.
Then I have Mind Exchange, Star Sign Summoning, which that one is basically, it takes the characteristics of each star sign during their time.
So it's like Zodiac stuff?
Yeah, and the quirk is most powerful during the time of the character's birth sign. Next up I have Mirror Manipulation, Time Skipping, which would be in small intervals, State of Matter Manipulation, so the person can morph into a solid, liquid, or gaseous state.
Oh, so themselves or like
Themselves.
Objects? Oh, okay. I thought that would be fucking wild.
Right?
If it was just like, I'm going to touch a human body and you're gonna turn into liquid.
I'm gonna make you into
So
a
what you're
soup.
telling me is the person can become a cat.
Oh,
Because the cat is
yeah,
basically a
A liquid,
fluid.
yeah.
How does it work?
Basically, they can just morph into a liquid, a solid, or a gas.
How are they still conscious?
I don't
Where's
know.
the science?
This is My Hero Academia. When has
Imagine
there ever
learning
been
to
logic?
use that quirk.
Right?
Anyway.
The next one is a golem generator, so it can touch an inanimate object or like a substance, and it can turn into like a physical golem that they can control.
Oh my god, could you imagine doing that to a table? I know you just touched the table when you were saying that, but I was just thinking like, it moves around
isn't
like
that
little
technically
legs.
Skeptic's quirk though?
I mean, I guess, but on like a different scale, because he can only do like a human size.
I don't remember what his actual name is. I'd have to look it up.
It was like his quirk is like puppeteer.
He basically but he takes physical objects and he turns them into some like an actual person that he controls.
Yeah, it can like
So
something
it's
like that.
kind of similar to what you're talking about here.
Next we have brain review, which is basically can scan a person's memories to find insightful details.
I like that. That's cool. Okay, I vote for that one.
And then my last two, we have drug lord.
What?
For the name of a quirk,
Oh,
can
okay.
secrete various drugs and substances from
my
the body
God.
to give or
Actually,
use
I
on
changed
others.
my mind. That's so cool.
No!
And
That's
then,
so cool.
This is so bad though.
and then last but not least, we have baked goods, which is can bake anything at just a touch, and also can be used for baking things like pastries, or if you tap a person, you can give a really quick suntan.
I think that
Bam.
one character who
anyone?
what?
For a person, it would basically just give them a tan the longer you touch them.
Oh.
Dan.
But otherwise,
so
you could
can
use
sunburn
it.
them.
Can he burn them if he like holds on to them?
If
long
it's
enough?
too long, it'll go past the tan and basically just burn them. But if it's like a light touch, you just give them a tan.
So first
but
off, I'm
the
gonna-
first part of it is like you would like bake pastries or
Toasty.
something, or you just burn
So
something.
first off,
his
with
hero
the
name could be Toasty.
Toasty,
first
tostado.
off, first off with the baked good one, that
Yeah.
actually works really well with that one student who has sugar rush. Who it's
my
like
God.
he eats
Oh
sugar.
yeah.
No,
They're buddies.
Heck yeah.
I have a lot of controversial things to say about Drug Lord.
Well, I mean,
I'm
you changed the
excited about
name,
Drug
but that was the
yeah,
funniest
that's
name
a
I could
No,
come up
I
with.
mean,
Yeah.
okay. I think if any of ours coincide with an already pre-existing, like how I said the skeptic thing, I think
Yeah.
depending on how we make the quirk work, it probably could still work, and we can make it not exactly like how skeptics. I really like the Star Sign one. The Star Sign one is probably my favorite of your list so far.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool one. We would just have to like determine what kind of
Like, how
abilities
it
each
would
star
work.
signs would get.
There was this webcomic that I like. I think it was called The Witch and the Bull or something along those lines. And there was this witch who was like Zodiac witch or something, and she would fire an arrow into the sky, like have to specifically hit the constellation that aligns with that Zodiac sign.
Yeah.
And then it would have like a physical representation of that star sign appear, and she would be able to control it. So like imagine you like actually I think it was just a constellation witch, so it wasn't even just zodiacs, it was just like in general constellations. But like imagine going and hitting the star sign for like Tauros, and then you have like a bull that you can control.
Yeah.
Something like that.
All right.
Are we cool if I go into my quirk options now?
Oh yeah, go for it. Go. Just one more thing. Just hear me out.
Yes.
Drug Lord.
Drug
Okay.
Lord.
Anyway.
I
go
think the
into
only
yours.
good thing about Drug Lord like me is it depends on how the person uses that quirk. If they use it as a drug lord, I'm gonna have controversy. If they use it as
it's
like
the
a doctor or a pharmacist,
No, see,
like then I
yeah.
have,
If
Could
it's
you
for
imagine being a pro hero and you just know what drug does what?
yeah.
yeah, because if it's for like medicinal use, like out in the
Yeah.
field, like I think that's really good. Or like
Yes.
if you're like, whatever the healing lady chick is at UA, I'm totally blanking on her.
Recovery Girl?
Recovery
Oh my
Girl
God,
or
he
something
could be
like
an
that.
assistant.
to recovery girl.
Or if it's like, if it does turn out to be a villain, drug lord. But if it's a
Yeah.
student, just hear me out. You're a class dealer.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like that's such
Yeah.
a controversial power,
Yeah,
especially
it really
for somebody
is.
at 5 years old
Okay, it
learning
is-
that they
Hey,
can.
I mean, if you think about it, Yayarozu can basically already do that. I mean,
Yayarosa
we-
has
we-
a
we've
core-
se-
Would
we
it
had a-
also be
we had a
based off of
scene
the
where she did
chemical
that.
components? Like hers is based off of an
She-
understanding about.
she has to know it's
She
like
has to
chemical
know
makeup.
it's-
Yeah,
Stuff
so
like that.
would a little drug lord have to know his...
The chemical makeups. I think
Probably
yes. I
would
think that'd be
need
the
to have a
drawback.
See,
chemistry
that
class.
would stop him from doing
There needs to be-
creating
yeah.
drugs as a kid.
Okay.
Well, you
Anyway.
just Google what the sub formula is.
No, a 5-year-old
Anyway.
wouldn't know how
A
to do that.
5-year-old
Oh well, no.
wouldn't know how
As
to
you
do
get older,
that.
as you get older.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I can imagine in his like delinquent teenage years. He's just
rough emo phase.
I like
how we're
talking
about.
I like how we're talking about this in depth. Like that's the one we've chosen.
I want to hear your list. Let's hear your list.
So unfortunately, a good portion. I only have like 4, 3 of which are my 3 favorite superpowers. Unfortunately, which is fire manipulation, shadow manipulation, and shapeshifting. Fire manipulation is a very common quirk, so if we did that, it's very common. There would be, So shadow manipulation is not as common a quirk, but it is one that has happened with multiple characters, so I think probably avoiding that would be a good idea. Shapeshifting has various forms that we can go to. It can be shapeshifting into a person, which is very similar to what Himiko Toga has, or it's shapeshifting into an animal, and then you have to go into a whole thing about that. The logistics of that quirk we would need to discuss if we decide that one. This last one is the one I came up with a few days ago that I was like, oh, this would be so cool.
Alright, hit us.
Wheelies?
Wait, what do you mean wheelies?
You know those shoes called Heelys that you just like...
Can they just make wheels appear all over their body?
So is it just
retractable roller skates?
Wait, so is it just Ito with wheels?
Sure. Yeah, I just like the idea of somebody like having a quirk where they just like the same thing as the Heelys, just tap their heel and then just retractable roller skates.
Can you hear me out on something? Do you guys remember at the beginning of the series, like Bakugo and his little posse from middle school?
Yeah.
And they're picking on Deku and they're just in the streets. Like imagine them picking on a kid, just being suck it loser, pops out the Heelys and rolls away.
Oh my god, I love that. You know what would be cool if that character
totally
like,
the bully type if they have the
if we
Heelys.
move a little bit beyond the Heelys, they have Heelys as their like special gadget thing to accommodate their quirk, but their actual ability is to affect momentum of an object.
Ooh.
So they're just affecting their own momentum on their roller skates.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay.
I like that. Okay.
That's solid.
Taylor?
Oh, I
What is
forgot.
your singular quirk? You didn't write it down?
Do you know what it's called at least?
We're talking about other quirks, and I'm just on the mind.
You should have written it down. That was our whole point.
Okay, yeah, but like
Taylor, do you not come up with any ideas for this podcast?
No, hers ideas are spontaneous
my
on the
ideas
dot.
are on the dot. See, I just came up with a momentum quirk.
Yeah, see, that was
Okay.
pretty on the dot.
So,
Heck yeah, that was
from
great.
my
No, I actually like that. That was
understanding,
solid.
I think we have to draw a quirk
Off
from
of
Colin's list because his is more
your
extensive and
All
has
right.
more
I don't
stuff
know.
to it.
Momentum quirk could
So
totally work.
I think if we want to break it down, I think our 3 favorites were like
I like the star sign one.
the Star Sign one, Drug Lord,
And then the
and
brain review.
and Brain Review.
I think brain review was really
I like
cool too.
brain review.
Brain Review I think is pretty
Wait.
cool because I mean if you're going inside a person's head to kind of like look at their memories or details of their
Yeah.
life to try and pull insightful information,
feel
I think
like
that'd
They
be
would
really
be good
helpful.
That
as
could-
either there's like 2 different there's like 2 different variations to how this could work. Either they're used as a police interrogator or they're a really powerful villain.
I really
I
like the
kinda like
police
the-
interrogator route, but
I like-
you like the villain route.
I like
don't
Police
you?
Interrogator, but I'll be honest, I think that'd be a really devious villain quirk.
Yeah.
Like imagine that being on a League of Villains. Like they just like we would have to figure out the logistics of how that works. Like do we have to be like touching the person and how long does that last?
Yeah, we would need to think of the logistics for that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if it's like, if they need to touch the person, that's also very helpful. Because if it's just like you just have that ability, it's really sucky. Because then it's very similar to that one character Ragdoll from who we meet in the forest training camp arc. There's this character named Ragdoll whose quirk is Search, which she can just know practically everything about anyone at any time because of her quirk. Something like that. I don't remember the logistics of her quirk, but it's something like that.
So I think that narrows it down then to Brain Review and Star Signs. Star Signs I would also be on board with. Like I
Can I
like
say
the
something
idea of the
about Brain
personality
Review
change.
that I just thought
yeah,
about?
go for it.
So remember how we said touch is like potentially how we would do that?
Yeah.
So I just thought of something. For
Why do I
anybody who
feel like
hasn't
I'm
watched
this?
Deadpool and Wolverine, this is a little bit of spoilers. The main antagonist for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, just grab the
Yeah, so she's
Wait. Are we allowed cursing on this podcast? I forget.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Okay,
this.
yeah, when they call it brain fucking, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, the whole point of her power was that she would basically insert her fingers into the person's head to be able to read their mind. It's so freaking creepy.
It would like
but it's
phase.
so cool.
Basically, her hand like phased through a person's head, but she could also like grab them from the inside. Like her fingers would come out of like either some of their face holes or just from other parts,
Or
and
you
she
just
could grab
see it
onto
under
them.
their skin. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the term
trippy.
for it was brain fucking.
Yeah, brain fucking.
But I just think if the person, again, if we're using it as a villain,
Yeah.
I think them being able to do something like that,
Oh,
would,
that
be
would be
so
so
fucking funny.
fun.
That would be sick, yeah.
Especially
So-
since we already have a visual for that.
So is that what we want to go with then?
Yeah.
Brain.
I think
Review?
this is a lot funnier, especially since we've already kind of talked about the logistics for this.
Yeah.
Rather than the Star Sign one, I am kind of liking this.
Mm-hmm.
So, are we going down villain route?
Yeah.
Are you game
down
for villain?
Brain
I would
fucking
love
round.
to see this as a villain.
So why are they a villain? We gotta
Yes, let's go
establish
into
that.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I'm gonna
so
start
where is
open
the
note.
one?
Yes, good enough. Start noting. So, for some of the pre-existing, so most of the pre-existing villains that we know, at least, tend to have a traumatic childhood.
Yeah.
Aspect
what's
to it?
his trauma? What's
Ooh.
their
Because
trauma?
I'm gonna go into like some of the lore here.
Yeah.
Tomohiro Shigaraki absolutely
He's a
his
sad boy.
sad boy
Yes, small, sad
accidentally killed his family.
And
Dabi has daddy issues.
Plus self-harm issues.
Yes, plus a very basically not good quirk of it. Self-destructing quirk.
Quirk not working well with his body.
Yeah. Jean Bubagawa, twice. However you say his last name.
I'm amazed you pronounced his last name correctly.
I don't think I did.
No, I think you did. I fumble that every time.
Anyway, twice. He doesn't really have a sad childhood, but he just has a sad.
Adulthood.
Yeah. Has a not good mental stability and split personality issues.
Toga
was had kind of like a child abuse thing and had to mask her personality because nobody really would accept her for who she was.
Spinner
wasn't
really accepted as a
because
anthropomorph,
Spinner
right?
is like an anthropomorph because his whole quirk is gecko, and so that makes him look like a lizard. It's a mutation quirk, and nobody really accepted him for that because mutation quirks weren't very common where he lived. And then I think Compress is probably the only one who doesn't have a childhood trauma. His whole thing was that he was just trying to live up to his grandfather's legacy, as far as I can tell. So, at least
And we'll steer off of Kurogiri for now.
Yeah, Kurogiri. We're going to steer off of Kurogiri. So, if I'm doing this... Oh, also Magni, or however you say her name. She had it wasn't really a childhood trauma, but it was more so just like Mag is a trans character and is trying to go into be self-acception of her gender identity while also trying to get others to accept her gender identity, stuff like that. So I'm gonna say at least maybe like an 80% of League of Villains is childhood trauma based, or at least background story trauma based.
Yeah.
So
they pretty much all have at least just some kind of trauma. I mean,
Yeah,
so
so we
now,
should
so
probably-
asking, so I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna
Yes.
ask the question: how traumatized do we want to go with this character?
Well,
how trauma-filled do
the
we want to make them, and what kind?
There wasn't really any trauma with the character from Deadpool Wolverine. It was more so of she was just trying to be better than her brother because everybody saw her brother as like being this really awesome person. So if we want to do like very similar to that, like sibling rivalry with a sibling who has a fairly similar quirk, or do we want to go down a different route?
I have a route that's very
Okay,
What you
Taylor,
got?
what is your route?
Okay, so we have this character who has the ability to like sort of like read minds,
Yes.
kind of basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or like get access to information that a child shouldn't necessarily get access to.
Okay.
So they can be put into a situation where they know something about a corrupt like form of like something that they should have accepted, like I don't know, like a police officer or something like that.
Mm.
And so they see something that they shouldn't have, and they just grow a complete and total distrust with the overall system, with heroes.
So
because
I
of
like the
something that
idea.
they saw only because of their quirk. And
what
no
if
one else
what
believed
if
them.
what if the okay? So I'm gonna say this right now. What if the brain fucking thing where your fingers have to enter the head? What if that's like a thing that they decided to do? What if that's not necessarily a thing
What
that
they have
has
to
to do, but that's a thing that they start doing when they become
Or
villain?
what if like they learn to do that down the line, and because they're more on contact with it, it becomes more powerful?
Yeah, because I feel like just starting off with having that as a quirk, like I feel like actually having to do that would be very traumatizing in and of itself. But if it's like, and I feel like that would be something like if we're going down the route of learning something corrupt about an authority figure, I feel like an authority figure wouldn't let them stick
for
their
sure.
fingers
I'm
inside their
imagining,
head.
like, a child like grabbing onto
hands or
someone's
something.
hand because they're like scared of something or whatever, and then seeing the most like morbid shit
So
ever.
I feel like if this character, what is it, brain review? Is
Yeah,
what
brain review.
Okay. So I feel like if this character who has brain review quirk, what if it starts off with like any skin to skin contact, and then over time they develop their quirk to like so they're be able to like turn it on and off, like so it's like what if like when they started off it was like just any skin to skin contact, kind of like Tomoe Shigaraki.
Yeah.
Although Tomoe Shigaraki is a bit different. Any skin-to-skin contact with a person, able to read their mind, and they aren't able to filter what comes into their mind. Over time, as they learn to control their quirk, potentially they learned how to turn on and off the brain review, and eventually form the ability to eventually decide that they're going to stick their fingers in people's heads to read their minds, while also being able to filter through what they're specifically looking for.
I do like that. I do just want to sidetrack to 2 points real quick.
Yes.
One is regarding something about the character Viever. Is just a comment I want to make.
Okay.
When you were first pitching your idea for it,
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say something like they did something with their parents, information regarding their parents when they were a kid. In my mind, immediately went to they used the mind thing to get their parents' credit card info and bought a bunch of currency for a game and spent like $1,000. I don't know. Let's say like what's the cliche one, like Roblox or Fortnite V-Bucks or something.
Yeah, oh my god, they spend all their money on
And they just got
Jaden
in trouble for that.
Animations buying Pokemon
Exactly.
at like express shipping.
And then the other question I have is, so, what do we want to do for gender? Male, female? I'll be honest, I'm kind of leaning towards male for this one.
I'm leaning towards that.
I'm leaning towards male too, is kind of where I was going, because we did female last time, so I think like male character would be nice.
Yeah. Also, just in trying to picture, I keep getting male in my head for it.
I'm going to make a comment because like how you were saying with the parents, I was also thinking the parents, but not something like that. I was thinking like their parents
are serial killers.
something like that.
God, wait,
No,
that would
I
be
was thinking
really
like their parents were like part of like a gang or like or a part of the mafia or something, and it's like, and oh my god, what if their parents are part of the Shiozaki?
Oh, that's good.
Because the Shiozaki are very interesting.
I think let's go with that.
And
That's
then
really
and then that way the character would be able to, could potentially either be a part of the League of Villains or could be a part of the Shiozaki again. Because I feel like overall Chisaki, I feel like he would find use for a brain review quirk.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah.
Totally. I was gonna say I like the idea of building this character off of like they hate liars and they hang out with villains because they don't lie about shit.
Yeah, no, because that's the thing. Because the villains are actually the villains we've seen in My Hero Academia are actually some of the purest people. Not in like actual sense.
Not
No,
like,
no, no,
they're
but
like
like-
murderers.
But like they're very accepting of each other, and they don't give a crap about what you've done in your past or who you are as a person. They'll accept you, because that was like the whole thing that Twice has talked about, is like I've been considered a piece of shit my whole life, and these guys accepted me as family and would never turn their back on me.
And same thing with Spinner, even because people neglected him for being like Gecko person, and then he was welcomed in and no one passed judgment on him.
So I do like that idea of having a villain character who is like against liars, and that also plays into the brain review, because like being able to like read people's minds, you'd know if they were lying as well.
Yeah.
So do we want to roll with the Chisaki Overhaul Society?
Yeah, so
what was it called? The society?
Shihisaki or something like that?
Yeah, okay.
I'll tell you how to spell it later.
learn that the parents
So what if
were part of
it's either the parents are already a part of the Shihazaki, or he joins the Shihazaki later. Either way, I feel like if the parents were already a part of the Shihazaki, he wouldn't want to be a part of the Shihazaki, or perhaps the parents were doing things and they were in the Shihazaki and they kept them from him, and again with the thing, he doesn't like liars, maybe them keeping that from him made him upset. I don't know. I'm thinking what's a good idea would be probably make him, I don't know. I like the idea of him being a part of the Shihazaki. I don't know how he becomes a part of the Shihazaki. I'm not sure if his parents being a part of Shihazaki would be.
So one thing we might want to consider then is the parents being drawn in the first place. Did they have a similar quirk that Chisaki saw as useful to him, maybe, or?
Well, let's consider also Chisaki wasn't the boss in the beginning. Chisaki only really became the boss recently.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
with the father
it would really be the boss, Pops, whatever the hell his name was.
Yeah, either way, I feel like we should figure out then at least a little bit on like
because I do think our character would be real big. Would be probably he would have been recruited by Chisaki, because Chisaki was still a higher up, even though he wasn't the boss. He was still fairly higher up in the hierarchy, however you want to say it. So I think if Chisaki is the one to recruit him, that would be great. Especially because I just want to see our character with a bird mask now.
Was that the thing?
That was literally everybody who was a part of, if not everybody who was a part of the Shihazaki, just everybody who was a part of Chisaki's main group were wearing like plague doctor masks.
I remember some of them wearing it. I think it was only 2 or 3 of them,
all
wasn't it?
plague doctors? I kind of want to play with beyond the plague doctor.
It's not plague doctor. It's just the kind of like
the mask,
plague doctor mask. Yeah. Which they don't need to. We probably don't need to have them wearing the plague doctor mask. I think at the very least we need to have them wearing a face mask.
Yeah, there were. Yeah, so let's see. I'm looking. There were like 2 who actually had the mask, and then a few just had like. Yeah, it was mostly for generals.
So I think.
Okay, just any mask in general. We could keep the bird theme.
It just needs to be a face mask because Chisaki is a germaphobe.
So just some kind of mask.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. So just some sort of, at the very least, covering, like how we did with our previous character, covering like nose and mouth.
Yeah, I think we should make it a bird mask though.
I do like the bird mask.
And I think we should do research on birds that are specific to the character's quirk.
Ooh, yes. Maybe like what are known as like high intelligent birds or something.
Yeah, or like
crows.
Symbolic representations of, I guess, knowledge or truth.
So owls.
Not apples. No,
owls.
I mean like
owls.
Not
apples.
I was like apples. The fuck are we on apples for?
Okay.
No. Apples to apples.
But owls maybe.
So
maybe like an owl.
Character. Yeah. So I'm gonna go over what we have right now. Brain review quirk. Character is gonna be a part of the Shihazaki. Some distrust in an authority figure is their childhood trauma.
The authority figure or the thing learning about the parents? Which one did we?
Well, parent would still be authority figure.
I feel like it's hard though because like why would you join an organization that you knew your parents were a part of?
That's my point. That's why they lied. I know, that's my point. That's why I'm thinking the parents probably wouldn't be a part of the Shihazaki. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they were part of some rival group of the Shihazaki.
You know what? Maybe a hero organization tried to hire them first.
Yes.
But the character found out that they were lying about it, and then the what's his name? Overhaul finds
Chisaki.
Kai
Chisaki.
Yeah, Chisaki comes around, flat out tells the character everything that they want them to do, the entire picture. Full honesty, and the character's like, I know this is terrible, but at least you didn't lie about it.
Yeah, because I feel like if people don't lie to our character, then he'll be more likely to follow them.
Yeah,
be loyal to them. So as long as Chisaki tells him the truth, then he's perfectly fine with following him. Because this is probably going to be a thing with his backstory is probably most likely a lot of people have lied to our character in the past, and at this point he's distrusting. So as long as you tell him the frickin' truth, full out, no matter how bad it is, he will stay loyal to you.
And as soon as you lie, he will.
And he'll be able to know if you're lying too, because this is because of his quirk. So,
right, because he just touches you and he knows the truth.
Probably if Chisaki comes up to him, tells him the full flat out truth, he uses his quirk to figure this out, then he's gonna know that Chisaki's not gonna be lying to him, and he's gonna be full out loyal to this guy.
I feel like it would be so cool to have like a switch moment later on, like in this character's arc, that he tells like one tiny lie.
Oh,
and this
Chisaki tells one tiny
lie? One tiny lie.
Oh,
and
God.
this character is like,
nope.
Hands off, I'm out. Like,
nope, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. I feel
yeah,
like
so our character's basically a truth seeker, then, if you think about it.
I love that.
I like that.
And
Wait,
this
what
is
if that's
fairly-
like his villain name or something? Or something in regard to that?
Ooh, I like Truth Seeker. That's a good one. Truth Seeker would be a nice pseudonym for them. Especially since that's their whole goal here. And I like how we're thinking of this character very similarly to how Stain acts, because the whole reason for Stain's existence as a villain is that he's just trying to weed out the heroes who are not real heroes in the eyes of Stain. It's like, because All Might, main hero, he's what's the true image of a true hero. And then there are people who are just like, they're heroes and they're saving people, but they're doing it for like money.
Right, like personal goals
exactly.
or vendettas or just...
Yeah, stuff like that. And they're not true heroes. So I feel like our character has a very similar sense of that, as like they don't care who they follow so long as they get they are given the whole truth, the honest truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I thought that's where you were going.
that's where I felt like it was leading. Okay, so I do think we need to figure out, well, we can continue backstory stuff later, but I think for backstory stuff we should figure out what it is that was the dishonesty that led them on the path to start being a villain.
Yeah.
We don't need to think that out now. I think we should start figuring out the logistics of the character's appearance.
Agreed.
Kind of.
Yeah, I want to get down more of like what we're gonna
Yes.
have him look like.
So, and it looks like Taylor's starting to look into the birds
I'm
thing.
looking into the
so,
birds.
so you can do that while we start doing that.
So far, I have blue jays, owls, and doves.
Pull up and just like click on images. I want to see just what comes
Blue
up.
jays, owls,
I think-
and doves.
Oh,
Okay.
there's just a hummingbird here.
Well, hummingbirds are fairly smart.
Okay. Crows. We know crows.
Crows, owls.
I feel
Okay.
like...
we could lean away from crows.
Aw. Okay, fair enough.
I know you want to lean towards
Yeah, I know the crows,
but
but-
the
like
plague doctor
crows.
is basically a crow.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, and
Plague
we
Doctor
want to,
basically
We want to make
So
our
I think-
character.
The problem is when I think owl, I just think Hootie from the Owl House.
That's fair.
And that's what's
I
tripping me
think
out.
that one honest skin in Overwatch.
Oh, I think I know. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the best way for us to decide what kind of bird we're doing is to figure out what the character looks like as well, because I feel
That
like
would be good.
deciding a bird mask would also correlate with how they appear. So we know male.
Yep.
We know some sort of truth seeker thing. So I feel like, do we want to do like physical appearance of the character first, or do we want to do
I
costume?
kind of want to start with the physical appearance.
Okay. So
Do you want to start with
Taylor,
like top
you've
down?
screwed me over.
Why?
Because now
'Cause
all
you
I
wanna-
can
you-
no,
your
because
crow
now all
aesthetic is
because
gone.
now all I think about is blue jays, and my brain's going blue eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm down for
I'm good with
blue
blue eyes.
Blue.
Yeah. Do we want to
jay.
start with the head down for the rest of the
Yes.
body? So okay. So I'm good with blue eyes.
Okay.
I'm thinking. I'm kind of leaning towards maybe like black hair or something, but maybe with like white tips at the end, maybe, or some kind of design in the hair.
So like white frosted tips, kind of.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Taylor, you down for white frosted tips?
Yeah.
So black hair with frosted tips. Okay.
That's cool.
I like that. All right.
Do we want to do like longer hair or shorter hair? I'm thinking maybe a little like scraggly, so it's like a in between.
I think shorter hair is where I'm envisioning more. I don't know why I keep on thinking of like every time I'm thinking of like how we're designing this character, Chisaki's popping into my head. Just I think shorter hair would be a nice go. What were you saying about scruffy? Like
maybe like scraggly, maybe a little bit. Like not exactly like
it doesn't
long,
need to be a
but...
neat hairstyle, but it can like
I'm thinking maybe like still short, like it's not like down to the shoulders, but like still scraggly. But maybe it's like a little over the ears or something.
Okay. All right.
Little poof.
But yeah.
Little poof.
Little poof.
I like that.
I
love
like,
adding
I like the idea of
unnecessary
having
poof
a
to the
mussed up
characters.
hairstyle. Yeah, I do like that. I'm probably going to keep it short, but like scruffy hairstyle.
Low key was imagining jellyfish hair.
Jellyfish hair.
Yeah, it's like
jellyfish
like a poof and then like.
Oh, you mean okay? So you
I
mean
think
like
I know what you mean.
I think I know what you mean.
You mean like a man bun with
I think one of my
brains?
characters. No, so like think just like short hairstyle, and then there's like that Jedi braid in the back or something. It's like
I think I know what you mean.
It's like a mullet, but not.
Wait,
It's
can
like
you
a
try
mullet,
and pull
but
up a
not.
picture?
So yeah, Taylor,
Here,
go ahead and do
actually,
that.
it might actually.
Because
be
I'll be honest,
genuine,
I'm
so.
still just
So I'm
picturing a
gonna
man
say
bun with a
right
braid.
now, because we're basing this, because My Hero Academia is mainly based in Japan.
Jellyfish.
Click on images again.
So
Look up jellyfish male haircut. I want to see what comes up.
yeah. So because this is mainly based in Japan.
Jellyfish.
Oh yeah, that's kind of what I was picturing. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm glad
Wait,
we're on
show
the
me,
same
show me.
wavelength. This.
Yeah. Click on a
Wait,
picture
isn't
and
this
enlarge
just
it.
kind of the hairstyle that Chuya from Bungo Stray Dogs has? Or no? Is it not? Or does he have an
Chuya
actual
wears
ponytail?
his hair up.
He has an actual ponytail?
Yeah, he actually has an actual
Okay.
ponytail.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't mind this. This is actually an interesting concept.
Short. Okay, so like
I'm-
jellyfish haircut.
honestly, when we
process.
were
So let's say like short hair / this hairstyle.
Yeah.
So maybe
so
that, but
this
like a
could be
little
like
shorter.
so that this could be like a personal. No, so it's like a personal choice that we have. Like if we want to do this kind of hairstyle, we can. If we want to.
Oh, so we
just
each
short.
can do a different hairstyle.
Because
Oh,
again,
yeah.
it's
I like
our
that, I
because
like
again
that,
it's
yeah.
our own kind of
Interpretation.
interpretations of how the
the
character
same
looks.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. Jellyfish.
So because their base, My Hero Academia is mainly based in Japan. Most like we tend to see a lot of My Hero Academia characters from Japan with a neutral skin tone, either like pale or just something that's like I'm trying to think of how to express it, just white.
Some variation of
Okay,
white.
I know they're all Asian, but they
No,
They all do
Yeah.
appear white.
But
Like
they all
that's
do
just how they
appear
do
white.
it. Yeah.
There is some like thinking about like Mirko. I think we've said Mirko
Was a
has,
little on the darker
is
side.
on the darker skin tone, but I'm like because they're in Japan, probably going to have some form of like white
Lighter skin tone.
Yeah.
Also with like the black hair with the white tips and the blue eyes, I don't picture it with that skin
No,
tone
I
as
don't.
much.
Yeah. So
I just don't think it
I'm
pairs well.
thinking pale. Like
Okay.
pale, like you know what I mean when I say pale?
Oh, like pale as in like sickly pale.
Not like sickly pale, but like just like just like a very light skin tone.
Very light
Pale.
skin
Not you.
tone. No, you.
Pale.
No, you're not pale. No, like paler than what we are because we're
Yeah.
like I consider myself as tan.
Okay.
But anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. Body type? I'm thinking like
We made such a buff character last.
I'm thinking
I'm not-
slim but toned, like not
I'm thinking
muscular.
slim but toned.
Like
Slim
they
but
like
toned.
they have muscle but not a lot of it.
I feel like they need muscle because they need to compensate for the fact that their like quirk.
Oh,
is
they need to
very
know-
intellectual based.
They need to know like some form of hand-to-hand combat basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it can still be slim but toned while doing that, because toned is still at least a little bit of muscle.
Yeah, it's a little bit of
just-
muscle. It's just not
true.
like
I'm not
extremely
imagining
muscular.
like a total beefcake. No, he's still a twig.
Yeah.
Like in my mind.
Well, he's not.
twig.
Okay, so let's not imagine him as a twig. Then let's imagine him as.
I said a twig, but.
Yeah,
A twig.
that's not what you said.
I heard a twig. So yeah. So anyway, but yeah, no. I feel like if he's fairly like. Again, going back to I keep on envisioning Chisaki like
Wait,
Chisaki's body type.
so part of it, what I'm thinking then is also we want to take age into perspective, because that could also kind of determine how the body looks.
Oh, true.
I'm
How old
thinking.
are they?
I'm thinking that honestly, I keep on thinking of him being close to Chisaki's age.
How
Okay,
old's
so like in his
Chisaki?
30s?
I don't know how old is Chisaki.
He looks
like,
like he's in his 30s.
I
I
think
thought
he's
he
got to
was in
be
his
30.
20s.
I'd
No,
say
he looks like he's in his
30s.
30s.
I could be wrong, totally could be wrong, but
How
I'm
old
thinking
is
30s. I think maybe like a late 20s for the character could be good, mid to late 20s.
Mid to late 20s.
While the internet's being slow.
Good job, internet.
Here,
I'm working on it. I'm
I
working
would
on
look
it.
it up on the computer, but I don't know how to spell.
He's 36 years old.
Is he?
Yep.
He's old.
He's not. He
He
doesn't
is.
look it.
We're gonna
Yeah,
make
he does.
him
He totally
old.
does.
Doesn't. No.
Yes, he
At this
does.
point,
He
we
totally
can
does.
Give this character facial hair.
Yeah.
So, no.
Colin's voting
He's
for
a
it.
dad.
doesn't have facial
At
hair.
this point, our
He's
character
got
can
a
be
bit
a
of
dad.
scruff, but
Oh my god, he has a son.
no.
It finds out he was
gonna-
his son all
You
along.
realize that not every character that's
not
in their 30s
every
has
character
a kid.
says
Yeah,
has
we
a
know,
kid.
we know.
I know.
We
but
know.
I'm just
Dad-
thinking.
I was gonna say dad's. Aizawa's 31, and all
Exactly,
these
and he
kids,
doesn't have a kid.
the only
Therefore,
kids
we'd
he
be
has are his
breaking
cats
the
and his
norm.
students.
We'd be breaking the norm because we haven't seen a single adult with a child
This
that
is
isn't
true.
adopted.
That's a lie.
This is
in the
true.
show.
That's a lie.
What?
Inko, Midoriya's
That
mom,
doesn't
Bakugo's
count.
mom.
the actual
Main
freaking
character's
parents.
mom.
Oh, we're
Bakugo's
excluding main
mom,
characters for it
Jiro's
then.
mom.
Okay.
We're excluding characters that
That are
like
parents to the main
we're
characters.
excluding people who have more screen time than like whose parents have like
I mean,
less
Overhaul's
screen time than their
dad.
kids.
Overall's dad.
But he
is
has
not
less
his
screen
dad.
time. It's about Overhaul.
Yeah,
It's not
okay,
about
okay.
his
Also,
dad.
it's his adoptive dad.
Was it?
Yes.
Hmm.
Dude took the. We're talking about the boss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, took him in. Wasn't
Okay.
actually his dad.
Couldn't
he just
remember.
called him pops.
Hmm.
Anyway.
So, do we want to do like late 20s then maybe as like a happy medium?
Late 20s, early 30s is where I'm going.
Taylor?
Okay, I'm down for
Thoughts?
that. I'm down for
I'm gonna be honest with you.
late 20s.
Facial hair can be a thing that either of us choose. I'm personally not thinking facial hair.
I just haven't really drawn facial hair yet,
I
so
haven't
I'll
drawn
experiment with it,
but I'll
we'll see.
try.
You're gonna give him facial hair.
I'm gonna give him like
a scruff.
what
Like-
what
I
what's,
feel like if I
Aizawa's
give him a
scruff.
scruff or like a 5 o'clock shadow, he's gonna look older. Maybe with Aizawa's style, maybe it might work.
Aizawa
but it depends on how the
style
rest of him looks for
or-
me.
I swear to God, I'm pretty sure I remember Chisaki
So
having
is
like
he
a tiny
scary
bit of hair.
looking or is he cute?
That depends on preference.
Is that really on preference? Because I'm
Yeah,
imagining
no, I
now
feel like
that
we should
now
kinda
that I
decide
know he's
that.
like in his late 20s.
Villain, late 20s.
I'm imagining like
Like, what
he
do we mean
looks
by
like
scary?
he's dead inside.
Like, does he just look mean, or does he look like or does think of it
okay,
this way?
I'm going to-
Does he look like twice,
Shinzo.
or does he look like twice, or does he look like Overhaul in terms of like mean to nice looking for villain?
You're
Think
not
of it that
helping
way.
me. I like both characters.
I said in terms
Okay.
of how they look, because like
Mean to-
Overhaul
okay.
physically looks mean, whereas Twice
You
literally
can't see
looks like he's
Twice's
happy.
face for a majority of the time.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
he's
but we've
still
still seen. Yeah, but
adorable.
we've
Yeah,
still
okay.
seen it. Who cares how long we've seen it for? We've seen it.
I don't know. I feel like, again, we gotta acknowledge the fact that this character spends a lot of time with Chisaki because he's most likely gonna be one of the higher ups if he's wearing a face mask. Or like one of the styled face masks
Wait,
that we're
Hiro,
talking
what
about.
if it's like a cocky medium, like Hawks' face, for example, where he can look kind of stiff, but he also has like the sly smirk kind of thing, or like Davi.
I do kind of like that. That's nice.
I feel like the Hawks face brings a happy medium.
So like, Ken have like a nice personality that a lot of people can get along with, but can get serious if the need demands it.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Oh, maybe he has like an outwardly like friendly personality, and then as soon as you lie to him, he kind of like snaps.
He locks the
He gets,
fuck
like,
in.
super
But
Yeah.
like, how outwardly happy are we talking here?
I'm not like super outwardly happy, like a pleasant person to be
Okay,
around.
yeah.
I'm
Like,
still
he'll
thinking.
get
I'm
you,
still
like, a
thinking like
cup of
Hawks
tea.
chill.
Okay, yeah.
And I can imagine he doesn't invite.
But then he if like he's lied to, he snaps.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
also can imagine he'd do stuff undercover all the time, so I feel like he'd go up to heroes and ask a question, and as soon as they lie, he'd like.
Yeah, I like the idea of him still being able to, because like obviously it's not like you turn off the just anything skin to skin contact, but I
Yeah.
think like if it's specifically an interrogation for the Shihazaki, or he's like say that we have like a person that the Shihazaki wants questioned, we have the guy tied to a chair and then we just mind fuck him. Like I feel like
he would be such a great interrogator.
he is a great interrogator. That's my point.
Yeah.
But I
That's
think
his
like
entire job. He doesn't
Yeah.
do anything.
But I feel like if he goes, yeah, so interrogator / undercover work would be his main thing. But again, like as an undercover work, he's still able to do it with any skin to skin contact. Are we saying that he has the ability to turn it on and off, or are we gonna make him wear gloves?
I think.
Gloves.
Do we want to make him wear gloves?
I'll go with the glove idea.
Okay, so we'll make him wear gloves. Because I was originally saying like he has the ability to turn it on and off like at will, but like
I guess it would be less suspicious than him like having to take a glove off.
I know, but wouldn't it be more fun to have him take a glove off?
Or what if we kind of did like we talked about with Tomoro, and it's like the finger gloves, so he has a few free, but then he just
well, no, because that makes no sense. Because the whole thing about Tomura is that he needs all of his fingers to do his quirk, whereas like people like Chisaki, I think, are just like skin to skin contact in general. I think just wearing gloves in general isn't suspicious. It just means that you have a quirk that has to do, or it's just a design choice that you have. It doesn't necessarily mean it has anything to do with your quirk.
I think if I saw someone walking down the street with gloves on, I would immediately, and I was in this universe, I would immediately assume their quirk
you wouldn't know what their
touch.
quirk is too, though, immediately seeing them, because what if it isn't? You can't just assume a quirk based on the fact that they're wearing gloves.
Yeah, because Uraraka doesn't need gloves for hers, and hers are based on all of her fingers touching.
And she wears gloves.
Does she? I don't. Uraraka.
Does she not?
No, she doesn't wear gloves.
She doesn't wear gloves around.
No, I'm saying she doesn't. She's an example of a character who's all fingers on but doesn't need gloves.
Yeah.
Because she can actually control hers.
I was going to say, isn't hers also an on and off situation?
Yeah.
Yeah, she can turn hers on and off.
Yeah. I like the idea of the character wearing gloves, though.
Okay, I'm not against it. I was just saying
that,
I
can work with that.
In a setting, I'm trying to imagine it.
Yeah. Okay, what about main attire? Because, like, in this kind of thing, I'm almost thinking, like, the organization with how they are, some of them are just wearing, like, suits and stuff. I'm almost just picturing, like, a suit.
Yeah.
Like a straight-up suit. But I don't want to do, like, basic. If it is going to be something like that, I think, obviously, do something to change it up or look more different.
Thinking Sherlock Holmes.
Trench coat.
Trench coat? Okay, I like trench coat. Do we still do, like tie button on underneath kind of thing, or just trench coat?
Well, what were you saying about... What Sherlock Holmes does he wear?
Well, yeah.
In adaptations,
he wears a long trench coat. But in other adaptations, I'm just imagining
No, but I mean, like,
because
what were you saying? Like, suit under trench coat?
Yeah, where it's like you can kind of see the type of trench coat where like, you can still see the collar and like the top of a tie.
I think I'm just thinking, again, I'm just keep on thinking back to Chisaki, because doesn't Chisaki, he has a button-up shirt / tie, but he also wears his, like, does he?
I'm pulling a picture
But
of
he
Chisaki.
also, I think sometimes he does, but he also has that, like, coat with fur lining that he does.
This is his main outfit.
Yeah,
so
again,
he's got like a coat, but he's got the button
tie.
down with the tie, and he's got the fur thing around him.
Yeah, so I think if we do something kind of like this, but like with like a trench coat or something.
I like that idea. So you still have like the suit kind of, but the trench coat over
I'm
it.
personally thinking sometimes the character will have like the tie like kind of loose. Necktie kind of loose.
I could go either way on how tight the tie is, but what are your thoughts on trench coat with the button down?
I like trench coat and I like button down. I'm just trying to imagine how to make this character more unique. Because trench coat button down is giving me a lot of things. It's giving me Sherlock Holmes. It's giving me David Tennant.
It also gives me John Constantine vibes, especially if you go with the loose tie route.
I don't know if it's too similar to all of those characters or not.
Does that make it a problem though if it's like that? Because he just adds onto like the trope or something.
Yeah, he adds onto the trope, but like there's leaning too much into a trope. Or that's just me.
Yeah. I think we could still find ways to make it different. I wouldn't say copy Chisaki directly, but he also no, I know, but going off what I'm thinking now.
Does he need to wear a tie though? I'm kind of on the loose tie, but I'm also like just not on the idea.
Wait, can I finish my thought before I lose it? Sorry, just before I forget what I'm gonna say. You know how Chisaki has like the boa around him? Like not necessarily that, but maybe we can find other.
What bow?
The boa, like the purple fluffy thing.
Oh, you mean the weird portion of his coat.
Yeah. So maybe not necessarily that, but maybe something along the lines of like accessories like it that are just like up and around him. We can try and find something
just
for.
Just something that adds to his character.
Right.
Yeah.
So still gloves, utilizing ideas we said,
coat,
but different.
Button-up shirt. I'm kind of like I don't really think tie when I'm thinking of the character. I'm gonna be honest with you.
What do you think?
I'm thinking like kind of like partially buttoned down, partially unbuttoned at the
Yeah.
top kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
I can
it's
see
like
I like that. No,
too.
see
was
that I
gonna
like.
say,
I can
that
work with that.
would lean us away from the
From a trope a little bit.
trope.
and leads us
Yeah.
more towards other things. But
Leans us.
what?
No.
No, say
What?
it. Say it.
Nothing.
Do it.
We're good. That makes more sense.
It's literally him right now.
Yeah, literally.
It's literally him.
Okay.
No, but anyway,
Who
it
does?
doesn't matter
fine.
though. It's not
It's
fine.
fine.
It's fine though.
It's a different version.
I like it
Okay.
though. I like it though.
Wait, is that a guy from Bungo?
Nope.
No, that was
It's
literally
a guy
Moriarty
from
the Patriot.
Moriarty
Sherlock.
the Patriot.
Yeah, okay, now I see it. Gotcha.
Anyway,
This
but,
is the portion of the video where we just show it on the side in a cutout format. He's just peeking out.
Just I like how as we're talking, we're bringing up random medias, and we'll
Yeah.
probably just have to like
We'll touch on
acknowledge
Talk
those
about these in the
ideas.
future?
We could
Yeah.
do a Moriarty the Patriot episode.
We'll do that
Down
at
the
a
line.
later
Yeah,
date.
that's a
plan on
way.
it.
We'll do that at
That's
a
a
later
way
date.
down the line.
That'll be later down the line. Let's
Um,
focus on our thing right now.
So then, I think that's a good idea for the top half. So do we want to talk about like what color we want to make the clothing, or like how do we want to?
So if we're going down the Blue Jay route,
Oh, we're going on the Blue Jay route?
I like the idea of going down the
I
Blue
can-
Jay
I can
route
work- I
because
vibe
it's a
with Blue Jay.
little more.
blue. I like the blue color
So
palette.
Yeah.
I think
It'll last.
Blue Jays tend to be blue, blackish gray, white is I think what was the colors that we were going with, especially with the character
Can
because
I propose a small change?
Go.
Yes.
I know we said white tips, right? But what if we just put the Blue Jay feathering pattern in his hair?
what does that mean?
What do you?
The feathering pattern. You know how it goes blue, white, and black all down?
Oh, so you mean like black hair and then blue, white, black tips?
No, I'm talking about like
I'm
you have
confused,
normal
yeah.
black hair,
Yeah.
right? And then as it goes lower down, like the end tips are gonna be like.
Can you
this
zoom in
pattern.
on the picture?
Yeah. So show us
Yeah.
the picture real quick and explain what you're trying to say. Get out of the article.
Right here. See this?
So
We just have the end tips be like this.
black to blue.
It's the pattern. It's the striped
Wait,
black,
let me see
blue, white pattern.
I mean, I could kind of get it.
What if? Okay. What if?
I might just draw.
You can do that if you
Yeah.
want to. What if the tips are kind of like a we choose what we want to choose thing? So like it's black hair main, but like if we do frosted tips like we're doing,
Yeah. Okay.
the color and the style can be how we want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm also considering, and this could be just the thing that I want to do now that you've pointed out the feathers, but what if just like actual fucking Blue Jay feathers, like just sticking behind his ear or something?
Oh, cool.
You mean like
yeah,
stick
like
behind his ear like a
earrings?
pen, or he's got them growing out of him?
Well, it wouldn't be growing out of him because it's not actually part of his quirk.
What if
Right.
he, what
No,
if
that's
he
why I was
just
confused.
like has it as like one of those earring cuff things?
Or it's like an earring cuff, or it's like dangling earring, something like that.
Yeah.
I just like
Okay.
the idea.
No, I like the idea.
Just just like Blue Jay feather accessory of some
Yeah. Okay.
sort. But yeah, I like the idea of the aesthetic of his color being mainly like black/gray, white, and blue.
Yeah, black, white, blue.
Yeah, some variation of that. Because that'll open up some things. Do we
What
wanna-
color for like the trench coat though? Would that be like a gray?
I think again
I
it
think
would
it'd
be
be a
up
happy
to. I think it
medium.
would be up to interpretation for us because we don't want to go too strict with it because then like
Yeah.
it's not as creatively. We don't like have as much creative freedom with it.
Gotcha.
So color, I think is up to our own creative.
But with like the
pieces.
black, white, blue, gray color palette.
Yes.
Yeah.
With that color palette, just up to interpretation of how we want to set it up. Any more type of accessories that we want to do? Because we got gloves for the quirk handling. We have.
Do we care what we do for shoes all that much? Do you
Not
guys?
really.
No,
I think most of the characters
think we
we
can
tend to
just
see
generic
are
shoes.
I think most of the characters we've been seeing are wearing like sneakers.
Yeah.
So
We can just probably do something like that, but
Like
with the
that.
color palette. Yeah.
There's variation.
yeah. Any other accessories we want to add on to this?
I'm giving it my eyeliner.
You giving him eyeliner? That
I
is
might-
totally
I
reasonable.
mean,
I'm
you-
thinking maybe glasses for mine.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Is there any specifics we want to do with the face mask? Is it going to be like full face mask? I'm thinking just like how we did last time with just like over the nose and mouth specifically.
Yeah.
And obviously it's bird shaped and it's Blue Jay adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Anything else we need to talk about? Do we want to talk about? So we know the logistics of the quirk. we know that they're joining the Shiozaki. We know what they're we don't know we should go back to the backstory while we've got the character kind of figured out at this point.
Backstory
But we know that their whole thing is that some authority figure, some if not most authority figures, lied to them a lot. They meet Chisaki. Chisaki tells them the whole and honest truth, and they find loyalty in him, something along those lines. We know what this character looks like. We know how this character dresses. How does this character act, I think, is another thing. Because, I know we were saying, how we said, what? No, we did talk about this. We said, kind of happy demeanor, kind, in a way.
Almost
pleasant,
like a
pleasant
Hawks-like
demeanor,
personality,
right? Yeah, pleasant
to an extent.
Pleasant demeanor, gets along well with people, which is good for if they do, undercover missions, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if they're lied to, they snap, kind of, and have, a more darker personality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe the more you get to know them, the more cynical you see them.
What do you mean by cynical?
Cynical, they're a person that largely believes that a lot of people lie.
Oh, so
and that the
distrusting.
only people who don't
cynical
lie
and distrusting.
are
The
killers.
Damn.
The only people who don't lie to his face are murderers or thieves or something like that.
Damn.
So I don't know.
But anyway.
The character's worldview has to have them down.
So should we go more in depth on his backstory, or is just knowing that a lot of authority figures lied to him and now?
I mean, it might not be bad to touch on maybe connections at least.
Let's specifically go into. I think let's specifically go into what was the turning point for him, severely having a severe distrust of most people.
I think it'd be interesting if it was an internship situation.
Internship?
Yeah.
How so?
They were gonna get a job at some place,
and
they were an
lied to
intern,
him?
and people lied to him.
Okay.
Do we want to say internship for a job? Are we talking Hero Academy type internship, or just regular job internship?
Or just a job at a hero institution. I don't know if they would go to hero school or anything like that. I don't think they necessarily have the skills to, because we know how hard it was for Aizawa
I think most high schools have hero programs. I think it just depends on what program they're going to. So would we just assume that he went into general education or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can assume that.
Yeah, I think it's safe to assume.
Because I think again, we said he has an experience of most authority figures being pieces of shit, dishonest pieces of shit. And that includes heroes. So most likely he'd want to avoid being a hero at all costs.
Well, could you imagine if he came into contact with Hawks?
He'd
lose his shit.
He would.
He would totally freak out the guy.
Because that...
We're going into spoiler territory.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We're going into spoiler territory.
Are we doing this?
Everyone, we are entering spoiler territory. I mean, we've kind of been doing this because we've been talking about the show as a whole.
Yeah, but we haven't gone into detail this much.
But we're about to go into some spoiler territory of the Meta Liberation arc, I believe.
Yes.
Which is season 5?
5.
Yeah, season 5. So if any of you haven't watched season 5, we'll probably edit in a timestamp of where you should skip to. Yeah, go to this timestamp. And
then resume from there.
resume from there. But basically going to spoiler territory. Colin.
Okay, so basically we reach a point where we have the Meta Liberation Army led by a man called Redestro. I want to touch on the brief fact real quick that this man looks like the anime adaptation of Dr. Doofenshmirtz himself. And if you tell me I'm wrong, then
you can go to a corner because you are wrong.
You just don't have an imagination to see it. Look up the edits on YouTube. Just look up Dr. Doof, My Hero Academia.
We're going off topic here.
But anyway, to go on, I just wanted to point that out because I love that entirely. So this man leads the Meta Liberation Army, and the Hero Society entrusts Hawks to infiltrate the League of Villains who is working with the Meta Liberation Army.
No, he's not trying to infiltrate the League of Villains. He's infiltrating the Meta Liberation Army. But he is trying to get close to the League of Villains through the Meta Liberation Army.
Exactly. So he goes undercover. He makes close connections with a few of the members. Like with Dobby, he proves to Dobby that he's trustful because they fake kill Best Jeanist.
But Dobby doesn't trust shit.
Exactly. And then we have Twice, who he gets really close to and befriends and gets information from. But all the meantime, he's really actually still a hero. He's just undercover, trying to get information for them.
Yeah, and he basically fucks over Twice by saying that he was never really friends with him. He was just using him for information gathering.
Twice really thought he had a friend, and then
Twice
Hawks
has
pulled a
gone
full
through
360.
this twice!
180.
Twice has gone through this twice.
He did.
First with Chisaki, and then with Hawks. Okay, wait, can we... I'm gonna go back up to our character for like 2 seconds. Wait, so before I go into our character again, are we done with spoiler territory?
I think so.
Okay, so we want to say this is where spoiler territory ends. Okay. Going back to our character, is it specifically people who lie to him that he doesn't like, or just people lying in general? Because I think this is a thing we need to talk about.
I think lie to him, because I think
I feel like he would be
someone lied to like someone else, and I think he would lie
because Chisaki has lied to other people. We know that.
Yeah, so I think it's lying to other people.
Yeah, and again, also, and as you just said, him lying, it would be okay too, because he goes into we said he does undercover work.
Yeah.
You can't do undercover work
without
not lying.
Exactly. That's the whole point of undercover work.
He's
is to
definitely
be good at lying.
not an honest person, but he doesn't like the sense of hierarchy in the sense of working under
lies.
Someone and being lied to.
Yes.
So he wants the truth to be told to him at least. Yeah. Because otherwise he doesn't trust people. So he's learned not to trust people who lie to him, and the only way to get him to be loyal to you is for you to tell him the honest truth in full. Yeah.
In full, no secrets.
No secrets. I mean, is withholding the truth dishonest?
It depends.
I feel like it depends on Because depending on circumstance, it's not necessarily lying.
Because what if someone doesn't tell him something and then he finds out later? Would he consider that lying?
It depends on the context of it. Okay. If it's a lie of omission or not.
Yeah, depending on what it is, it could just be withholding the truth.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else we want to go over? Do we want to try naming this character?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to name it.
Because I think part of it was like we weren't doing anything with this character until we figured out what their quirk was. And figuring out what their quirk was also related into what their gender was, so we hadn't really thought of any names. I know you had come up with names last time.
Yeah, this time I waited because I needed a quirk for it.
You just wanted to have them, and it was good that you had some because then we were able to. Yeah,
but I think it's harder to come up with names in the My Hero Academia universe strictly because
unless they work. I think most names kind of do. The names tend to go with their powers.
Not all of them. No, not all of them.
I know. I mean, we could look up names that go with the powers because that's something we do.
Look up Bakugo's, for example. See if his translates to anything.
I'm gonna start looking up. We're specifically doing Japanese names, right?
Yeah, I think that's for the best.
Okay.
Bomb.
It does mean bomb?
It
means explosion.
Yeah.
Okay, so
powerful.
If you think about it, so he was named that before he even had his quirk, which is amazing. I guess based on the mothers.
So not everybody is like us and looks into meanings of names. Sometimes they just name the characters.
Yeah, sometimes they just.
When it comes to the people who've created the characters, yes, they look into shit like this. But when it comes to people who are when it comes to parents, not always will they look at the meanings. I think people who look into meanings of names tend to be people like us who create characters and do writing and stuff. So, Japanese names.
There's Shin.
What?
I'm looking up guy names that mean truth.
Oh, that's a good point.
Seiji. It means sincere or to govern. Oh,
What was the first one you said?
Leadership and honesty.
Did you say Shin?
Shin.
I like Shin. Shin's pretty good.
But then we're going
else do we
too
have?
far into Shinto territory.
Yeah.
Although if we think about it, Shota Aizawa, Shoto Todoroki.
Yeah, that's what I
it
mean. Like that
really
doesn't.
matter.
That's why it doesn't really bother me. Let's see what else we got.
That's just me.
Masa is just meeting just true.
What is it?
Masa.
Masa? What is it?
Masa.
Wait, let me see.
Makoto.
Makoto?
Makoto. Meaning
I like got shocked
Uh,
through Taylor.
Makoto meaning sincerity or truth.
I like the name Makoto.
Makoto's pretty good.
But
What's it?
also,
Makoto.
I know anime characters
Sincerity.
that
Should
are...
we
True.
look into? Okay, wait. You guys look into truth. I'm gonna look into surnames that have to do with bluebirds for some reason.
Okay.
Bluebird.
Because I just like the idea of having bluebirds play into this if we're going to go so far into bluebirds.
Words meaning honest. Naoki, Naoto, Masayoshi.
Hold on, I can play them out loud.
Satyana.
Soma.
Wait, what?
Soma.
Oh, okay, guys. So we could do a surname, which is we could do Autori, which Ao means blue or green, and Tori means bird. So we could do Autori
For the last name?
for the surname.
What is it?
Autori.
Okay, I like that. How do you spell that?
It's like a hyphenated thing. Is that fine? Or we could combine it into one word, but it's usually hyphenated.
Yeah, just spell for me.
AOI
Mm-hmm.
dash TORI.
Got it.
Autori. And then what did we say? What was the other name? What was the name that you were saying?
Makoto.
Not exactly. Yeah, Makoto.
And then what was the one that you had? Masa?
Yeah, there's Masa.
What does yours mean?
Sincerity or truth.
Ooh, Makoto. Wait, so
Makoto. Makoto.
Makoto Autori? Makoto Autori?
I vibe with that.
I vibe with that too.
Okay, so let's do
Yeah.
that. So what does the name mean? So let's actually write down what the names mean.
Yeah,
as well.
so-
So go down and just write.
So truth / sincerity. And then the other one meant bluebird?
Which just means bluebird, yeah.
Bluebird.
Let me just real quick do.
You're doing the hyphenations over the letters?
What?
You're doing the hyphenations over the 2 letters?
I was just gonna do, just like split them up with quotation marks so you can see which ones are which.
Ah.
So yeah. So technically, if we're going Japanese, if we're actually doing a Japanese name, the actual way that this would be said would be Autori Makoto.
Yeah, because when they read the last name first.
Usually Japanese traditionally they do it last name first, but we don't do that here in America, and we've learned this.
America.
And
we can still do last names. Like, we talk about...
Well, no, obviously, like,
Yeah.
when it comes to people addressing them respectfully, the people are going to address them as Autori.
Aotori.
Since we're the creator, we can just say...
Whichever one we want.
Makoto.
We can just
Makoto.
say Makoto. We can just say whatever one we want. I do that a lot with my character Hiroma, because I tend to say Hiroma a lot, despite the fact that most characters will address her as Soshi. But anyway, so yeah, so Makoto Autori. We have his
name.
We have his personality. We have his backstory. We have his alignment. We have who he spends time with / who he's working with / relationships he has.
Yes.
Because I think that's all gonna fall under one. Did I already say what we know what he looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I think so.
we know what he looks
And if you haven't, then yeah, we know what he looks
We
like.
know what he looks
yeah.
like. And we know what his name is.
Do we want to talk about any other connections he has, like within the gang, like some of the other generals or anything, or do we just kind of want to leave it as is? Because I could go either way on that.
We could. I just need to look up real quick who.
Dude, I don't even remember.
Like there's the guy
any
who
of
lived
the
in the
generals.
walls, basically.
He can
He was
go
in the
dial.
goddamn walls.
So I'm thinking because, although I feel like probably Chisaki recruited a lot of that main group.
Mm-hmm.
What were they? The 8 bullets?
Something like that.
It would be the 9 bullets now because
Do we know if anyone in that group was specifically information based? Because then we can pair them.
I'm
up.
looking into that. You gotta give me like 2 seconds because
Yeah,
the
I
internet
know.
will not load. Give
For
me
now.
a year. The internet will not
For
load.
now, what do we think his opinion on All Might is? All Might's such an
Oh.
influential figure in
Well,
this
All
world.
Might has All Might ever other than keeping his own secret, has he ever lied?
Not that we know.
Hear me out though. He's never
kinda.
met All Might in person.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
Therefore, I think he would assume All Might
I
doesn't
mean, because if you think about it, All Might technically has. I mean, for good reason. Usually, it's usually for really good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we first meet All Might, and we see his injury, he basically says that there was a battle that caused it that he was trying to keep under wraps from the public as not to worry them.
Yep.
So like that's lying. But with cause.
He would hate that. Our character would hate that.
Yeah.
Makoto, right? That's the name.
Makoto. Makoto.
I gotta remember.
So there's the guy whose quirk is confession. That's about the closest thing we got. Which
What's his name?
His name is.
How did his quirk
Oh
work?
fucking god! Wait, no, sorry. Wait, hold on. What is his name?
Was his name
Shin
Makoto?
Nemoto. I was
Oh my
so
God.
scared.
Oh, we almost named our guy Shin anyway.
No,
Whoa,
because
way.
I got scared because
Oh my
there's
God.
that. The Romaji name for his quirk is Makoto Tsuki.
That's crazy.
That's like for his quirk
Whoa.
though. That's for his quirk though.
Crazy.
Okay, so
Wild.
wait, so this guy's quirk.
It's almost like we got the formula.
Yeah,
of
so this
creating a My
guy's-
Hero Academia character.
Yeah,
down.
so this
Right?
so this
God,
guy's
we are
quirk is
good at this.
basically after asking a question, confession allows the user to force the victim to answer truthfully.
So it's like
So
Lucifer
after
when he
what?
asks people for desires.
Wait, how does it work?
After asking a question, confession allows the user to force the victim to answer truthfully.
Okay, so just automatic be honest card.
It's like
Yeah.
truth serum,
Yeah.
but verbal.
Can
So
you
they-
like resist it in any way, or
Maybe if you just have like extreme willpower, if I had to guess.
you have the will?
If you have the will to live.
Hang on. So with this quirk, the user can learn the true thoughts, secrets, intentions, and feelings of allies and enemies alike, allowing for information gathering, psychological torture, and prevention of betrayal. Usefulness of this power has apparently made overhaul value Sheen most out of the members of the 8 Bullets. Weaknesses, it's worth noting, however, that this quirk is very literal. When Himiko Toka and Jean Bubagawara were asked if they were told to betray Overhaul, they said no, as they had simply been told to remember that Shihazaki were beneath them. Their later betrayal of the Yakuza organization was due to their own desires to avenge Mag. So there could be where our character lies, is because not lie, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because this character's quirk, while information gathering, is very literal. So if you don't ask the right questions, you don't get the right answers, stuff like that. Whereas our character is able to root through and find the truth through their memories and their thoughts and shit like that, without it needing to be like asked, just physical contact, shit like that. So, you know what I mean. Our character, I feel like, is still useful.
I do want to ask another question though.
Yes.
Now that I think about it, so can he only see into that person like as long as he's touching them? Like if he just taps a person, like he only gets like a quick glimpse, I would assume, right?
I think
it depends on how long he's in contact.
I don't think so. I think like maybe like skin to skin to contact. I feel like would it be time stopping? My instinct is like it. I mean like.
Like it does like time freeze for a moment in his mind that he can root through, or is it like he touches a person and then he has like 5 minutes, let's say, to like dig through those memories after he's touched a person?
I don't know. I think that's a good question. I think
it just depends on how long he's holding on to them.
So it like has to be in contact.
Yeah, not like strictly speaking. I can imagine that he sifts through information fast. But like, yeah, definitely has to hold on to people for a while.
And we said skin to skin, right? Like he can't just be like grabbing
It's skin to
someone's
skin,
coat
yeah.
pocket.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, skin
Okay.
to skin. I can imagine him strangling someone to try and get information out of them.
Literally strangling to get the truth.
Could you imagine if he accidentally kills someone when he's trying to get information out of them?
Like he's in the middle strangling and he's just like spaced out in
and
his
then
head
he's like
looking
cut
through the
off.
information.
And he's like, oh shit, I killed him.
Just like snaps out of like the rooting through the info for a second, just like, oh shoot, I'm still joking him?
Oh shoot, he's dead. Because I can imagine if the person dies mid-contact, he just gets cut off.
Oh, yeah, no, that would totally just kick him out. This isn't gonna be like Black Butler, where like the Reapers can review their life movies after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. No post-mortem.
Yeah.
No post-mortem movies. Wait, what does it sound like? Like a dope name for like some kind of like afterlife movie theater?
So what I'm
Post-mortem
getting
movies.
is the quirks of the 8 bullets are confession. Hang on. Give me a second. I'm just gonna look at the characters real quick. So confession, some kind of strongman quirk, larceny, crystallization, food, which can basically eat and digest anything.
Eat some metal.
Sloshed, which was the super drunk guy that was whatever. Strong arm, and then you were barrier, and then there was also the other 2 characters, which was the guy who was like could go into the walls and stuff. And then there was that other character who, I don't know, could like, stop time or something? Not necessarily stop time, but what was that character that was dealing with Aizawa that had like the arrows for like hair kind of thing going on?
I remember who you're talking about. I don't
not
remember
tell
how the
you.
I don't remember how the quirk worked.
I'm gonna find out who it is, because I'm sure if I find overhaul real quick, I could probably find out. Oh, chronostasis, this is who it was.
We have. I'm looking at names again.
Yeah. Wait, just click on some of the audios because I want to hear some of the pronunciation.
So chronostasis, which is the guy with arrows, grants the user arrow-shaped hair that can extend itself in a straight line and cut others, slowing down targets if hit.
Ah, okay.
So it has something to do with his hair. And then what are we doing here? What's
Just
happening?
name audios.
Oh, okay. And then mimic. The guy mimicry allows the user to transfer their own body and mind into solid objects and manipulate them as though the object was their actual body. So that was the whole wall guy thing. So that's why he was like in a doll for a while. I don't know why, but anyway.
I think we've pretty much
we covered
all
all of
everything.
our bases.
I think we covered all our bases.
That was so
Hell
fun.
yeah, let's go.
Let's
Okay.
go.
Alright, and with that, this has been our second episode of our new podcast, Character Crashers. We hope you've all enjoyed our discussion of My Hero Academia. If you're interested in more character media and creativity, go ahead and hit the follow button.
And
until next time, stay crashing.